Okay, the next movie we're discussing is A Complete Unknown, the new Bob Dylan biopic directed by the director of Walk the Line, not Walk Hard. More people probably know Walk Hard at this point than Walk the Line, but James Mangold. And I have to say, going into this movie, I was very frightened. I thought the trailers looked very corny. I've not been historically a fan of musical biopics. I hated Elvis. It was one of my worst movies a couple years ago, and I really don't like James Mangold very much. I mean, I like Logan, but Ford versus Ferrari was on one of my worst movies of the year lists. And generally speaking, he's such a mediocre director that, you know, for someone with the cultural stature and currency of Bob Dylan, I would have thought a bigger director, or certainly a more unconventional director, probably would have fit it better. But I'll just get to the point before I hear another move on from my alter ego, I guess. I like this movie. I gotta say, I was kind of surprised by how good it is. I'll say a few reasons why it's good. First and foremost, Timothee Chalamet is amazing in this movie. I'm on the Timothee Chalamet bandwagon. I hope he beats Ralph Fiennes. This is his best performance to date. I cannot believe that was his singing voice. When I first saw the trailer, I thought, oh, this doesn't look realistic at all. He's clearly singing using Bob Dylan's voice. He wasn't. His rendition of the rain is coming down, or whatever, that song, which I now have on my phone. I like Timothee Chalamet's version of it better than Bob Dylan's. He out Bob Dylan, which is crazy. He looks the part. He's tremendous in the movie. I like the supporting cast as well. Elle Fanning and Monica Barbaro as Sylvie Russo, who's not a real character, but someone based on a person in Bob Dylan's life, and Joan Baez, respectively. I think they're really good. Melissa Barbaro does her own singing. I like that this movie does not try to encompass the entirety of Bob Dylan's career. It only goes up to the infamous 1965 Newport Folk Festival. There's definitely historical inaccuracies in the movie. And, you know, we've talked about this with movies like Saturday Night. And if you know the material really well, you're going to nitpick it and you're going to find fault in it. You're going to probably find fault in Edward Norton's depiction of Pete Seeger, which also I think is kind of an over-the-top performance. It felt like he was bringing the energy from a different movie. I didn't necessarily love him in this movie. It's like he was doing some sort of weird Mr. Rogers impersonation. But I like that the movie, though, was only focused on this short period of Dylan's life. It didn't try to do everything. In a weird way, you know, I go into this movie thinking James Mangold was going to be the LVP, the thing that held it back. James Mangold is actually maybe the MVP of this movie, because this is not Elvis, all right? This is not a director saying my artistic vision is more important than the iconic celebrity that I'm profiling. Baz Luhrmann should take a note from that. And Baz Luhrmann should also realize that the Colonel Parker character that we saw in Elvis, which would be essentially Pete Seeger in this movie, is, again, should be someone that's in the backstory. We don't need that as the main narrator of the story. The music performances in this movie are really cool. I dug the soundtrack. Timothy for best actor. I think he's amazing in it. It's not the greatest movie ever made, but it exceeded my expectations, and it is definitely worth checking out. So I'm at 3 stars for A Complete Unknown.
All right, I have not seen this one yet. So Todd, where are you at?
Yeah, well, first off, James Mangold is a fabulous director. He's got Heavy, he's got Copland, Girl Interrupted, he's got 310 to Yuma, and A Complete Unknown, because this is an awesome movie. Like, and yes, music biopics everywhere. This is what, the 3rd one this year, and it's kind of similar to Bob Marley, sort of, because it's like an unlikely person put at the center of a movement, whether he wants to be there or not, and wants the attention or not. But yeah, Chalamet is fantastic. He has the voice and everything down. He looks and acts just like him. Yeah, I wrote down that Edward Norton was like Mr. Rogers also, which I thought was like a surprise, because he's like the nicest man, and his performance is kind of heartbreaking when you see where he's coming from. But yeah, it is a different energy from the rest of the movie. But I don't know that much about Bob Dylan, honestly, and I don't think this teaches me anything about him. And I kind of like that. It doesn't go out of its way to show you him in any other light than what he is. Like, it doesn't go through a bunch of BS about his family that makes you want to root for him or something. It just kind of drops in on him and lets you accept him for the flawed person that he is. And he's a mystery. And you could see it in the performances, because all the faces of all the people around him while he's singing just sit there in awe and an intrigue, and seeing this guy pour his soul into his music when he goes deeper into song than he does into their actual relationships with him. And to me, that's what makes it different than almost any other modern music biopic. And I think it takes its place among Yankee Doodle Dandy, Control, Sid and Nancy, and Jersey Boys as being the best ever in the genre. And the sound is so loud and crisp and should win the Oscar. I'm at a high 3.5 stars. It's one of the best movies of the year.
Nice. Yeah, I agree with you. In the experience of watching it, it was pretty awesome. My favorite scene, again, I won't spoil too much because Terry needs to see it, but there's a scene in the movie where Bob Dylan comes into a TV recording, and it's not necessarily expected that he is there. And that was a great sequence. And that was, again, something where I don't know if that's a true story or not, but that's the kind of shit I love, okay? Yes, the music performances are great. Yes, him writing music. I just like the idea of these historical figures interacting and just kind of chilling out and maybe doing like an improvised jam session. I thought that was really cool. There's really nothing in this movie I disliked. I think pretty much from the first scene till the last, I was always at 3 stars. I guess I can't go higher on it because it has the conventional trappings of a musical biopic, and I think Dylan is such an enigmatic figure that it probably deserves something more offbeat, like the Todd Haynes movie, which I think this is better than. But as like you were saying, Todd, if you go into the movie not expecting to learn a whole lot about Dylan, you're just there to appreciate the performance and the music and the scenery of it. You come out really impressed, and I think it is amazing how uncanny both Timothee Chalamet looks and sounds like Bob Dylan. He's amazing. I don't know what kind of vocal training he did. I will say about James Mangold, he is great at transforming lead actors into actually being musicians, because of course Joaquin Phoenix famously used his own singing voice in Walk the Line, and that's an incredible performance as well. So maybe we just need James Mangold to direct movies like Maria to make them a little better. But I like your review of it, Terry. Should definitely check it out. Why didn't you check it out, Terry?
I was hoping that Joaquin Phoenix was going to pop up as Johnny Cash, when they kept, it's a different actor.
I know.
Boyd Holbrook plays Johnny Cash, but I guess Joaquin's a little old now. But
it was like how in Maria, Natalie Portman did not show up as Jackie Kennedy. The James Mangold cinematic universe and the Pablo Larraín cinematic universes are inconsistent at times.
Yeah, I wanted to catch it. There was just too much to catch, and I didn't get back to the theater to catch another one. And
it was the longest one,
and
it doesn't feel like
that didn't really have anything to do with it. I just didn't get to it yet. Should this week.